afternoon, Mzansi. My name is Palisa Tembe, and welcome to your Thursday edition of Afternoon Express. It is Fashion Express Thursdays, and later on, we'll be engaging with a panel of giants on the future of fashion in Mzansi. We're kicking off, though, by satisfying your wanderlust with Australian adventure foodie Hayden Quinn. We'll also be catching up with funny man Nick Rabinowitz about fatherhood ahead of Father's Day this Sunday. Now, we love also hearing your thoughts, Mzansi. So on social media, we've asked you, local is lekker, right? Especially with all our country's diverse cultures. So what is your favorite South African dish? Tumi, what's yours, girl?
Well, mine is mogodu, and unfortunately we're not making that today, but we are making a tasty waffle cereal recipe. Yes, you heard me right. We are making a waffle cereal recipe, and to get the ingredients, please do go onto the website, afternoonexpress.co.za, to get your hands on this delicious recipe. But the one thing I am interested to see is what Hayden has up his sleeve.
Joining us again after being on Expresso this morning, we're joined by the gorgeous Hayden Quinn, all the way from Australia. Hayden Quinn South Africa is back on our television screens Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. on SABC3. Hayden will visit top food producers and conservation initiatives around the country with a special focus on sustainability, environmental awareness and animal welfare. He finds that not only are responsibly farmed flora and fauna full of flavor, but also healthier for both us and the planet. Hayden travels around our country finding adventure and learning more about unique local dishes at each destination. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Hayden.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back once again.
Yeah, bo, South Africa is happy to have you. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, you know, here in South Africa, as you know, Sisi, sawubona. How do you say hello in Australia?
G'day.
G'day, mate. Okay, the coronavirus is still a hot topic, and the entire world is still dealing with the devastating consequences of this pandemic. So how has this impacted you personally and your immediate family?
Yeah, you know, we've been very fortunate here in Australia. Our caseload has been very low, so we've been lucky to sort of continue on as semi-normal. We've been through a little bit of a lockdown phase, but things are starting to ease up. So we're going back out to restaurants, we're going back to gyms, people are heading back to work. So we're really on the up and up. But, you know, during the peak of it, there was a lot of time at home, there was a lot of time with family, you know, keeping things close and tight. And I think that was one of the highlights for me, was seeing families together, spending time at the dinner table, you know, eating together, sharing a meal, getting in the kitchen and cooking again. It was really, really cool.
And speaking about family, you know, we're all about family here on Afternoon Express. And you've been dating the stunning and elegant modern Jax Reno. Yeah, we're going to ask about her for 5 years. And you guys have been self-isolating in your apartment in Sydney. So how has this experience been like? And how have you guys managed to make it work?
We've hung in there. A lot of time at home because Jax is used to me being away for most of the time because I'm out filming or doing different things. So it was nice to be home. It was nice to be relaxed. But there were definitely moments where we each needed our bit of space. And even right now, Jax, she's actually cooking me dinner. So it's very, very kind of her, which is very nice.
As an avid globe-trotting traveller and adventure seeker, how has this pandemic affected this leisure industry around the world? And what does the future hold?
Yeah, no, for us, it's been very tricky because Australia, like South Africa, is very much a travel destination. It's a place where people want to go, they want to visit, they want to come and spend their money. And for places like South Africa and Australia, there's so much industry that relies on that tourism dollar. So we actually started filming another series of Taste of Australia with Hayden Quinn, which basically highlights some of the amazing, incredible tourist locations here in Australia. So we really want to pump people up, get them excited about traveling again, first off regionally right here in Australia, and then hopefully jump on the plane, head over to South Africa and experience what I know is one of the best countries in the world.
Yes, it's Eliam Zanzi. We'll take a short left. We say you just take a short left here around our country and really do feed the travel industry because it also needs some love and some true funding in the economy. Now, you've also released a cookbook, Hayden. I'm so obsessed with the title, Surfing the Menu, with your good friend Dad Churchill, which also turned into a successful TV series of you two traveling around in a little beetle around Australia to hit the surfing trail and meet new generation of food lovers and cooks along the way. What was this experience like?
It was incredible, and actually the beetle was the same colour as my shirt. It's bringing back memories. No, we were lucky. We jumped in the car and we basically hit every corner of Australia. You know, we were in the top end, we were in Western Australia, we were up in Queensland, we went all through New South Wales, and it's just a chance to connect with, like you said, the food producers and that next generation that really are bringing incredible food, amazing produce to our dinner tables right here in Oz. And I think some of your South African viewers may have seen a couple of the episodes, and it's a lot of fun. It's very lighthearted. Me and Dan having the best time possible.
What was it like filming Hayden Quinn in South Africa? What have you learned, and more importantly, what experiences have you gained and taken from this?
For me, it was about, I said it earlier, but it really was about the South African people. Like Australia, the diversity is incredible, and I made some lifelong friends who I keep in contact with still to this day, and I was so fortunate in that I got to travel all over the country. I got to see from the Northern Cape all the way around the Garden Route, obviously through Cape Town, up the West Coast. I was literally immersed in South Africa for nearly 3 months, and that was a really, really special time. And, you know, the food, the people, the beers, the wine, it was just an incredible experience, and one that I'm really going to treasure for a very long time. And I'm fortunate that it's captured in that series forever.
I'm so glad that you got to experience the best of Umzansi and see the incredible magic that our people hold. Trust me, I watched in the morning and Uguhle promised you umngosho. As long as I've got a plate at that table, we're game.
Me, you, it's going to be perfect. It sounds like the great dinner party. I'm down.
Okay, you bring the entertainment and we'll make the food. Thank you so much, Hayden, for joining us. Now, every episode holds...
See you soon.
Cheers. Every episode holds a thrilling escapade to quench Hayden's thirst for discovery and excitement. From surfing the cold waters of the Western Cape, to ziplining through the Tsitsikamma treetops, to walking with rhinos in Zululand, Hayden does it all. Catch Hayden Quinn this evening at 7:30 p.m. on SABC3 to see him explore the rich cultures, people and foods of Oudtshoorn and the Northern Cape. Thanks for joining us, Hayden.
You know, I really like Hayden, mate. I mean, okay, never mind. Bale, what are the people saying there about the South African dishes?
Don't make me laugh. Let's keep it strictly South African, yeah, hey? Let's keep the house it made to our Australian Hayden, yabo. Okay, and speaking about all things proudly South African, you know, on socials, we have asked everyone, what is your favorite South African dish? You know, what do you like eating and enjoying that is from our country? And we've got Ria Leboga, Kia Leboga. And Kia Leboga says, hey fam, my favorite dish has to be pap and mukhodu. # Afternoon Express. Girl, sounds just like me. That sounds delicious. Now, he has mastered funny. He's still figuring out fatherhood. His name is Nick Rabinowitz, and coming up, we catch up with him about life, family, and work in lockdown. I'm looking forward to that conversation. the show, we catch up with one of South Africa's funniest comedians, Nick Rabinowitz, who chats to us about how all parents need a safe space during lockdown, and sometimes that safe place can even be your very own toilet. Let's take a look.
Hello, people, friends, countrymen, and others. I'm Nick Rabinowitz. Welcome to my Toilet Diaries, where I discuss life in a pandemic, and I do that in the comfort of my own toilet, because sometimes you need a safe space to go, especially as a parent. You need somewhere where you can self-isolate, even if you haven't traveled anywhere and have no symptoms and have not come into contact with a positive person, but you do need to get away from your kids. This is where you need to be, just to think and share your thoughts. Welcome to the Toilet Diaries.
Oh my goodness, Nick, welcome back to the loft.
Thanks.
Are you feeling a little awkward?
It does feel a bit weird, doesn't it?
Oh, I mean, but we love that. We love your candor. You're so candid and you truly are yourself, even in your most vulnerable of situations. How has lockdown treated you?
I was having some desperate moments. I've got to be honest with you. I was near the end of my parental tether, and of course, I'd also just got a promotion because I'd lost my old job, and then I got promoted to a deputy substitute teacher at home and school principal, and that was even more stressful.
I think a lot of South Africans right now are like, is that a promotion or what? Because the amount of stress that comes along with that job title is just so big, you know. So how have you found it through lockdown, and how have you managed to keep these 3 kids educated?
Well, I think only one sort of had some formal education. The baby, I don't know what the hell, she's gone feral, and the middle one has read every Harry Potter book about 4 times.
You've got 3 young kids, and the last time you were on the show, you were telling us about how you've had to explain the birds and the bees to them. So how have you explained Corona to them?
Well, they had to do some PowerPoint presentation on it at some point, so I think they actually know more than I do. But for the 3-year-old, it's been tricky because it's difficult to explain to a 3-year-old why her best friend is with his granny next door. Like, we literally looked over the wall at her best friend, and she couldn't quite get why she wasn't allowed to go and play. So I think that was hard to explain. Hard to explain why your granny's behind the gate and you can't go and give her a hug. And that was literally the day before my mom had an armed robbery and then had to move in with us for 3 days. And they were like, but yesterday you said you can't hug Nana. Why are you hugging her now? She's traumatized.
That seems like such a huge jump, though, as a parent. I mean, how quickly do you need to be able to adapt, change the language within you, communications with the children, and make it work? And make sure that they also don't run away with their own understanding of what's happening.
We had to really sort of, as parents, also manage our own anxiety so that our kids, you know, you don't want to lie to them, but you also don't want them to sort of panic and be living in anxiety themselves. So I think it's taken a lot of sort of managing of one's own conversations and anxieties and emotional states, because we've all been on an emotional roller coaster, and we've had to find ways, whether it's been meditation or prayer or communication or just self-isolating in the toilet.
Yeah. And speaking about self-isolating in the toilet, I mean, you started an online conversation called Toilet Diaries. I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It was me at times ranting and at times talking about what was going on in the world or what was going on with my kids that day. And looking back, I think it's going to be one of those time capsule type of things where, like, in 5 years, I look back and go, what the hell was going on there?
You also have your Instagram live videos called Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. Please tell us about that.
Well, that was also like diving into, you can like live stream things and let's have conversations with people and help all of us. Help me, help you, help me. That's something I saw another comedian doing. And it was kind of a way of waking up early in the morning with my kids, showing people kind of real. This is what's real. This is what we're dealing with. This is what parents are dealing with. I'd have a screaming child sometimes, and I have to tell my guest, hold on, Sophie wants the big spoon, not the small spoon, or she didn't get the correct color teat on the bottle or something. So it was just all chaotic, and I think people appreciated that. And it kind of, for some people, was like, I'm not on my own, I'm dealing with the same thing. And it was kind of like a backstage, if you will, a kind of backstage into my life.
But talking about getting a backstage pass into all things Nick, I just want to have a little bit of a view as to where are you, Nick? There's a white background, but I feel like, are you working? Uyasebenza lapho, boy?
Well, I actually came in for I'm shooting a little ad, and we need to age me, because the premise for the ad is my future self talking to my current self in lockdown. So I've come in for to get my. These guys do sort of like whole body scanning, so they can 3D print and then create prosthetic. So this is basically their little setup here, where they were scanning my head with various cameras, and then and there's like weird people that I'm hanging out with here. I don't know what this guy's problem is. He looks.
Whoa, that's so scary, Nick.
This is probably the wig they're gonna use for my future self. I'm not sure. And then also, funnily enough, I got to hang out with Riyad Musa, who I haven't seen since before lockdown, but he's actually, this is apparently Riyad from Long Walk to Freedom, which was shot a number of years ago. Hi, Riyad. How are you?
Hi.
He's currently meditating. And then there's all sorts of crazy, they make like aliens and all sorts of crazy stuff. Look at all this interesting facial hair and
Nick,
stuff.
I'm so sure so many South Africans right now want to be exactly where you are. Talk about a trip into the future. That's so much fun.
Look at these aliens over here. Look at this.
Oh, so those are the aliens that everyone's kind of shook around right now. So, Nick, then what happens with all of these prosthetics and prostheses when they come together? I mean, what can we expect to see?
Oh, you can just expect to see what I look like when I'm 70.
But talking about your future self that, you know, is post-lockdown, post-COVID-19, and has made it on the other end of all the chaos happening right now in 2020. What do you want that future self to say to current self, or rather a message to the people right now about hope and about looking forward?
I kept saying, you know, we're going to look back. What are we going to remember? We're going to remember, hey, we were resilient. We had a lot to deal with. We had a lot of emotions, a lot of negative emotions. We had a lot of uncertainty. We had more uncertainty than we've had maybe in our entire lifetimes. We didn't know what this thing was, or how long it would last, or what the reasons were, or any of that. And somehow we managed to generate courage and resilience and compassion for our fellow human beings. Maybe we allowed ourselves to return to some of our core principles as Africans. Maybe we let Ubuntu shine in a way that it hasn't for a long time. We started becoming conscious of all sorts of other issues that came up at the same time. Black Lives Matter. White people, we had to deal with some uncomfortable feelings. We had to realize, hey, we've been blanketed in our privilege, and we had to relook at that, and we had to find new ways of relating to people and discovering new ways to do business and the internet and all of these crazy things. And somehow we have evolved as human beings collectively. That's what I would like to see.
Thank you, Nick, for not only bringing the comedy to South Africans, but letting us into your home, let us get to know your family, and of course, bringing smiles on the rest of our faces. We appreciate you, Nick.
Thank you. I'm not sure my family would agree, but maybe they would.
One of the incredible South African comedians that keep us smiling time and time again, whether it's letting us into his household or, of course, showing us behind the scenes of all of his work. Thank you so much, Nick. We appreciate you. South Africa salutes you.
So glad to hear that Nick at least has some peace in the toilet, because the rest of us find it very hard to get some peace when the little ones are around.
Oh my goodness, but how candid were those moments? I really appreciated that, South Africa. But on social media, another thing that I am appreciating are all of your comments. Look, girl, we've got like 5 people here all saying the same thing. We've got Emma, we've got Gia Shechile, we've got Queen P. Throw, we've got Inda, and we also have Miss Independent. They all say Pap and Mkhodu, heaven on earth. That sounds delicious. I mean, those sound like your type of girls,
It's
huh?
definitely my favorite dish, so I'm with them over there.
I guess South Africa, keep on coming with the favorite South African dishes. But you know, coming up, we spoke about the comedian and spoke to a comedian who has staying power in the industry. So next, we move on to a way of saving money that has staying power in our communities. We're chatting stock files with FNB. In South Africa, over 11 million people belong to stokvels as they remain a common and crucial financial strategy. And with the rise of COVID-19 and respective social distancing regulations and financial burdens, stokvels have faced some major challenges and setbacks. But in true South African style, a strong sense of resilience has been shown as new trends and practices have started emerging as a means to cope. So here to share more insights is Sfiso Nkosi, the growth head of FNB Cash Investments. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Sfiso.
Thank you for your time, Balisa.
Now, Sfiso, what interesting trends and insights have you seen around deposits made by stokvels over the course of the national lockdown?
I think the national lockdown is something that has had a major impact on the economy. What's been interesting to see from a stokvel point of view is how saving in a group has managed to keep members going through the lockdown. When we look at the deposits that stokvels make, on average, stokvels are depositing 10,000 times per month. Now, when we look at the national lockdown, the number has dropped slightly to about 7,500, which is around a 25% drop. So we're starting to see that 1 in 4 stock files or 1 in 4 stock file members aren't able to make the deposits that they could previously make. I think given the fact that customers and consumers have been impacted by lockdown, it is expected. But looking at that number, it's a good number to see because some businesses have declined by as much as 80% and some have completely shut down, as we know. So it shows the resilience of stokvel groups across South Africa, continuing to save and continuing to make sure that by pulling together, they can get towards their financial dreams.
Sfiso, let's look at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, similarly, are there any interesting trends that you've seen around withdrawals made by stokvels?
Right, we've touched on how there's a need for cash at this moment. So our expectation was that we're going to look at these trends and we're going to see stokvels actually withdrawing more than they do. But when we looked at the numbers, approximately 1,600 withdrawals are made every month by stokvel groups. This number has actually declined now during lockdown. So it's gone down from 1,600 to 1,100. So we started digging a bit deeper to understand why would stokvels be withdrawing less now at a time where cash is needed by most customers. And the feedback we've been getting from stokvel groups is the money that they set aside is such an important part of their financial planning that they're not willing to draw into that money. So even though times are tough and customers and consumers need access to cash, the last pot that they're going to touch is their savings pot, which I think is a good story for South Africans to speak to that savings culture that exists through group savings and through stokvels as we know them.
Yeah, the culture of discipline is what I see there. Now, has the COVID-19 pandemic exposed any gaps in the stokvel market? And if so, what are they?
Definitely. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has shown that there are still areas that stokvels and savings groups can adapt and do a lot better than they have in the past. The starting point is the need to go into branch to deposit money. With lockdown, movement was obviously restricted, and so groups were forced to adapt and use the technology around them. So what we've seen during this time is that there's an increase in electronic payments made, or EFTs, and there's been less visits to branch, which is a very positive trend. I think moving forward, more and more organizations like ours, like FNB, are going to be asked, how do you use technology to make sure that you continue to drive trust that stokvel members have, but also enable members to bank remotely via their cell phone banking or via their app?
So, Sfiso, when we look moving forward, I mean, what does the future of stokvels look like in light of our new normal?
I think moving forward, the importance of digital banking that we've just highlighted is going to increase. Movement will be restricted for the foreseeable future, so savings groups will be looking to be able to continue their savings without needing to leave their homes or places of employment. Moving forward, I also see us moving from the traditional cash savings that stokvels have had to more longer-term solutions. Examples include investing in shares, for example, for a longer horizon of more than just 1 year. And savings groups are already asking us, how can I cater and save for future generations? So we'll see a move from cash to longer-term instruments such as shares, investing in gold, investing in some unit trusts. And I think moving forward, we'll see different types of stokvels starting to emerge as well. So investor stokvels are becoming increasingly important. Property stokvels are becoming increasingly important. And it is up to us as an organization, how can we make sure that we are there for every step of a stokvel's journey? And as they move from being one type of stokvel to the other, we want to be the bank of choice.
Continuously being the bank of choice. Okay, I kind of like the vein in which you're continuing on, Sfiso. When you're speaking about all things being future, you've also touched on digital and the digital space. So how important do you think digital adoption will be for stokvels groups moving forward?
I think digital adoption is going to be the single biggest change that savings groups will need to make. Historically, our moms, aunts, uncles have been saving through stokvels, but cash has been king. We've been writing down our collections in a book. All of this will change moving forward. It will need to sit on a digital platform that everyone can see and access at any point. I, as a member, would need to see that, okay, Upalisa has contributed just as I have contributed. So the ability to bring that information from just the treasurer who holds the book to everyone else on the group is going to be important. And the only way we can do that is if we do it through technology.
Sfiso, do you also foresee a possible shift or change in stokvel goals, moving away from conventional savings and more into investing to drive wealth creation?
Absolutely. I think as we now see ourselves, the world is a very uncertain place. And yes, stokvels played a very important part in being able to cater to immediate needs. So a burial society, should a death occur, a saving stokvel to make sure that there's some disposable income at the end of the year, or even a grocery stokvel so we can buy food in bulk. Moving forward, a lot more parents and people in savings groups want to know, how do I secure a future for myself and for the next generation? And that's where the investments are going to come in. How do I invest in other companies that are set for growth in the future? And what other asset classes can I invest in? We are seeing groups that are buying properties and renting them out because that's a guaranteed way to get income. And we're going to see a lot more of these investor stokvels, these property stokvels playing a big role. And the exciting bit is that the model is evolving. It's still centered around trust. It's still centered around discipline and long-term planning. However, the long term has become longer than 12 months to actually planning for the next generation.
Thank you so much, Sfiso, for breaking that down and showing us that indeed we are fully equipped with the education that we need when it comes to all things stokvel with FNB. Siyabonga Butwam. Cheers.
Ngiyabonga.
Bye. That was Sfiso Nkosi representing FNB and also reminding us that although we live in a world where cash is king, the future of stokvels as we adapt to the new normal is taken care of.
We can help you bank safely from the comfort of your home. Download the FNB app. FNB, how can we help you?
I'm so glad Sfiso mentioned the stokvels because I am personally part of a stokvel, Palisa, and I know that a lot of people right now are trying to make sure that they keep to their, goals and stuff. I'm making sure as well.
I gag and Ninette trust is stokvel. And guess fun, I run away from stokvels. But listen, something that I'm not running away from is what you guys are saying on social media. We've got JB Webster here. And JB Webster says, hey, Bali, my favorite South African dish is steamed bread with beans. That sounds delicious, girl. I also want to dive into some steamed bread and beans. But even if rather you're not a fashion fundi, you have to get excited about our panel discussion coming up. Lucilla Boysen, David Tlale, Ephraim Modi Ngwane, and of course, Gert Johan Kutsia all zoom into the loft for our Fashion Express Thursday. Today we chat to the titans of South Africa's fashion industry. We're joined by Lucilla Boysens, CEO of SA Fashion Week, and fashion designers David Tlale, Gertjahan Kitsia, and Ephraim Morigwane from Ephraim Mall to chat about the survival of the SA fashion industry post-COVID-19 and also what advice they have for designers in terms of what they can do now to prepare themselves to sustain their business post-COVID-19. Welcome to the Loft, SA's fashion heavyweights.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm loving the elegant waves there. I just want to get straight into the conversation. I mean, with you, Lucilla, let's just start off with you. With celebrating 22 years of history of SA Fashion Week, which is a platform to help, tell designer stories nationally and internationally on and off the runway. How have you seen the fashion space change worldwide, and more specifically, the South African scene due to COVID-19?
Well, fashion has been proclaimed dead by so many people, and it is so not true. This is definitely not the end of fashion. So I believe that we have changed. I believe that things will be different. I believe that we will emerge with style. I believe in the South African designers, in absolutely all of them. They are resilient. They have built up a following that is absolutely stable, cemented in trust and in personal connection. And these relationships are the things of the future. And these relationships are the relationships that are going to carry our very brave South African designers through COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Now, David, Ephraim, and Gertjahan, this question is for you. How have you had to quickly adapt your business and your designs under the pressure of COVID-19? And how are you able to navigate and managing the new norm?
You know, us as a brand, we've had to adapt quite a lot. First of all, we've had to look into the lifestyle of us as designers and our customers, and what do we do on a daily basis. Now, people work from home. People are lounging. Mostly you have a fabulous top and pajamas or track pants and slips. So you got to understand what your customer needs, and the basic things like having to do masks and some essential, I would say, some of the items that we had to create as a business. So we cannot be naive and say, everything is just normal. It's not normal. We had to be creative on who comes to work, how many people come to work, how many people are able to work from home. So there's quite a lot of things that we had to adjust, not only in terms of creating the fashion, but making sure that our businesses are continuing. How do we navigate communication with our customers? Because people are nervous of going out to the shops. People are nervous of anything coming to their homes. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to make sure that you tell people your story and what you stand for, and to say, keep supporting local, because that's the only way we can survive.
Yeah. Ephraim, do you hold the same sentiment?
Absolutely. When the whole thing started, we all stay away and quickly have to think on first how you're going to make it in life as a designer, because, we don't get a huge support out there except getting support from your clients, getting support from structures as well. Unfortunately, most of designers, we don't have things like UIF or whatever it's called, that you can go and claim some money out there. So you really have to work hard and think on your toes how you can make it that people can relate and want to keep, but still having your signature as well, because you can't just make any sloppy clothes and then thinking people want to buy that. So eventually we came with some kind of like really beautiful sweatshirts, sweat dresses and stuff like that. And then the momentum started growing. And when we reopened our store in Sandton, we started seeing that people started coming in and buying clothes. And then that's when you realize people still want to have garments. People still want to dress up, whether they're staying at home. I've got clients who just wanted to have clothes and stay and dress and be home. I said, I can go to my meetings sometimes or go to work for 2 days, but I still want to look good, Ephraim. Please make me clothes, make me coat, make me this and that. And then eventually that starts propelling, and then I started seeing the trends of people coming in or calling, and we're making, and as I'm talking to you now, I'm going to deliver some stuff to people's houses.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we had to adopt, yeah.
Ever busy. I mean, for yourself, Gert Johan, we've heard the designers saying about keeping that signature aesthetic that you always have going in your designs. Now, with a lot of people wearing leisure wear, how have you been able to, you know, post-COVID-19 adjust? Because we know you for all the sparkles and the feathers and just doing the most.
You know what? I think this is such an exciting time to be progressive and innovative and just really think what's next and how you can express your creativity in this new world that we're living in. From our sides, we've been just really keeping our clients up to date via social media. I think that is such a beautiful part of communicating these days, that you do have in front of you, the cell phone that you have in your hand every day. You can build a business and you can speak to the world through it. So we've completely been making beautiful masks. I mean, with SA Fashion Week, we have a beautiful mask project at Sandton City that was great. And I think it's just being progressive and thinking what's next and what else is possible. And through that, we've been very innovative. We're doing sweatshirts, we're doing all sorts of t-shirts. Our online store is booming. And I think what the big thing is for designers, the lesson that we've learned out of this is that we cannot be so event-based. I think for a lot of designers, everything we do is either a wedding or a fabulous event, especially the more high-end designers, where now we've learned that we have to push more leisure wear. Luckily, we have our perfume, so that carried us a little bit, and just really being progressive.
Yeah. Lucilla, we have to now go just into what the fashion industry means as a whole. It is, you know, one of the biggest and best platforms to get a message across the world. As creatives, how are you using the respective platforms to share knowledge and ideas to fellow creatives and help sustain the business in the fashion industry?
Well, we've been very lucky. I don't know if you know, but we've just the evening before last had a webinar where we spoke to 33 countries and 375 attendees. And we really find that people want to know about fashion. They want to know about the designers. And that, to me, is really the strength of the South African designers, because they have built a social media following and a following that will absolutely carry them through this. And this is where they've built trust. And if you look at our three designers that we have on the panel today, Efimel, Gert, and David, they've all got completely different signatures. And that is the strength. Our diversity in South Africa is our strength. Most of them are going through this. They are making a living. They are helping their studio, like David Klale said. They're helping and they are all building. So it's actually the amount of SMMEs that is important within this industry.
And, you know, this incredible fashion panel, finally in closing, I want to keep the positive momentum going that Lucilla kind of took us out on. We now are faced with a challenge, but we need to come out. And it's this resilience, it's this tenacity that we see as a Rainbow Nation trickling into the fashion industry. Now, Gert, I have to start with you. Do you feel that there is hope in rebuilding the South African fashion industry to what it once was?
Definitely. I think I'm very excited about the fashion industry post-COVID. I think it's going to look so different. And that is exciting. I think it's going to be way more sustainable. I think people are going to be more mindful when they shop. And I think people are going to shop more South African. So I love how the world has almost been pressured into supporting their own more and making do with what you have around you.
And that is so incredible. I'm seeing so many more shop spaces opening up a percentage to proudly South African Mzansi local designs. I mean, for yourself, David Klale, where is your hope and where does it lie in rebuilding the South African fashion industry?
I think the most amazing thing is, you know, over the years, the South African fashion industry has been built. It's already solid. Now, all we need is to make sure that we mobilize it. And it may sound, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. We're grateful for these times that we are going through right now, because all our retailers have to start looking at manufacturing locally, supporting local designers, and making sure that we start looking at what we have as a country, as a continent, and also the government to look at cross-continental trading so that we don't have to be depending on the international markets to supplying us with whatever. So I'm saying where we are right now is very exciting for us as a manufacturing or as a clothing and textile industry, that we are now going to have to look within and make sure that we resuscitate the clothing and textile industry.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as David talks, I just get this incredible sense of amandla. Talking about the clothing and textile industry in South Africa, we need to keep this conversation going. Finally, from you, Ephraim, where do you see us placed within rebuilding the South African fashion industry?
I think first and foremost, the platforms like SA Fashion Week and other fashion weeks and other platforms that really propel and send a message out there and teaches people that there's a local designers that can be as big as international counterparts. I really need to be supported big time. If not by government or even private sectors, they need to do so. And I think what I agree with David, what he just said now, like we need to have all the people who've got money. They got to start supporting the sectors.
Said quite passionately. You know, as we bring this conversation and this incredibly powerful panel to a close, Lucilla, final thoughts, you know, for all those aspiring fashion future forward lookers, what can we look forward to the most?
Well, I think that we've seen a lot of retail bankruptcies, and I believe it's now the time for the creative fashion industry to just go. And I do believe that from great trauma comes creativity, great creativity. Our designers are amazing. They don't have to stand back. They will land on their feet and they will bring us beauty and they will bring us magic.
I'm certainly looking forward to all that beauty and all that magic that you speak of, celebrating all things South African fashion and making sure that we take our money and we circulate it amongst ourselves as creatives. Thank you again to this very strong fashion panel here for enlightening us on all things Mzansi local fashion. We appreciate it. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Again, South Africa, there you have it. Some incredibly great names in the South African fashion space. But what do you have to say? Where do you see the fashion industry moving forward to? Remember to use that hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments. Amandla to South African fashion.
I absolutely love what Lucilla said, saying that with trauma comes great creativity. But on another note, what are the people saying about what their favorite dishes are, Bale?
Let me tell you something. People decided, let me not even put words, let me just show you pictures. I mean, KB, you are showing us such flames here. I love this. We have Itombolo here and Tribe Mukhodu again. And here we've got something special. I want to go onto this person's social media and find out what they're cooking. Now, let's be real. Breakfast can be eaten at any time of the day. So coming up, we combine two delicious breakfast foods served up with our Super M waffle cereal. Delicious. More of this. Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, whether you need a morning pick-me-up, a midnight snack, or a study cram filler, there's no better way to warm up your cold moments this winter than with Super M. Now, you may have heard about pancake cereal, and what could be better than enjoying that than replacing the milk with Super M? But today we are inspired with the Super M waffle cereal. This warm-up filler recipe you don't want to miss out. So, Dumi, let's get straight into cooking.
Let's get straight into it, darling. We're making a waffle cereal, and I know people are a bit confused, but there's a trend going around right now where people are making pancake cereal. So making like mini pancakes and putting them and making it a cereal. But I decided, because Afternoon Express, we like to add our twist, we're making it with waffles. Mini waffles, like tiny little waffles. So to start the recipe, I've got some flour and I've just chucked in some salt, some sugar, and our baking powder. And as you know, with baking, we always do our dry ingredients one side, and then we do our wet ingredients on a separate bowl. So I'm going to quickly mix our wet ingredients, which I'm
So wait, what was the dry ingredients?
Flour, baking powder, salt, and sugar.
Perfect.
So I've just mixed
staple.
Basically. And then I'm going on with our wet ingredients, which I've started here with 2 eggs that I've already whisked together. And then I go in with a bit of oil. I'm going to leave some of the oil because I want to be able to use this for the tea, but you'll see exactly what I mean. And then we go in with my favorite flavor, Super M, which is chocolate. I like the chocolate flavor. I don't know what your favorite is.
I mean, first of all, I think it's unfair that we have to pick a favorite in the first place. This is unfair punishment and treatment. Didn't we fight for this in 1976, South Africa? No, all jokes aside, though, if I have to, you know, gun to my head, choose a favorite, I would, again, vanilla. And that's only because you chose chocolate, and to be fair, I'll say vanilla. But, you know, I really do enjoy every flavor.
Okay, nice to know. And the lovely thing I love, one thing I love about Super M is that it can actually be enjoyed hot as well, not just cold. So that's why now we're putting a twist to it. Instead of using normal milk, we've decided to add our Super M milk because it adds that creaminess and it adds that delicious sweetness to it. But obviously, a lot of people nowadays are trying to make sure they watch their weight and don't eat too much sugar. The one thing I love about this recipe and the fact that we're making our own cereal is because you get to manage the amount of sugar you put into it, making it the perfect recipe for you. And as you can see, I've made our batter a bit thick because I want us to be able to scoop this into the waffle machine.
Okay,
so
let's get into that.
Yeah, I've mixed in our wet ingredients, our dry ingredients, and just to add that extra flavor, girl, like I said, chocolate, I told you chocolate.
Add the chocolate.
More chocolate goes into
Add the
it.
chocolate. Beautiful, Dumi. This looks really, really good. So this is what we're going to be expecting to see here. We're wanting to see that Super M chocolate flavor accompanying and complementing the normal chocolate chunks that you put in there.
Basically.
I can only imagine the flavors coming together, that chocolate melting in that batter as soon as we put it in the waffle maker, making it absolute magic explosion in your mouth.
Basically. So remember, I saved some of that oil. It's basically for this, for me to be able to scoop in some of our waffles here.
And not have the batter stick to the teaspoon.
Basically, yes. I've seen some people do it quite differently. What they would do is put in a normal waffle size into the machine and then cut it. I like to put my own twist to things, but also this gives you time if you want to get the kids busy with something, keep them distracted while you're busy with something else, get them busy with this.
I was going to say, this is the way to distract the kids because I ain't got the time, honey, to be taking out a little batter. And you know, I'm the type to just put in the entire batter and cut it up when it's all formed together. But this is kind of cute. This is a nice
perfect,
way to spend time as a family.
And then you basically let it cook. And because they're so tiny, it doesn't really need a lot of time. You literally can do this in like 2 minutes. Okay. Let it cook. You've got some cereal over there that you can actually just top up in the little cereal bowl container there. Yeah, you can just chuck it into your bowl. Once you've baked it here, you can actually put it into your oven, bake it at 180 degrees for literally just 2 minutes, just to crisp it up. And then after that, put it into airtight container, save it. You can eat it, you can actually keep it for up to 3 months.
Yay, I love that. Delicious. That sounds so good to me. Everyone, if you want to get this recipe, just head over to the Afternoon Express website, afternoonexpress.co.za, and you can be having breakfast for dinner. South Africa, I love this. Talk about, you know, it's Youth Month, and we just celebrated Youth Day. This reminds me of my youth, you know, when I had to be at home alone, babysitting myself and the parents were out there making that money. we would just make cereal for dinner and we'd be full for days. So I love this. It's delicious.
I know, right? This is also my favorite flavor. Not only is it flavored milk, it's chocolate flavored milk. So it's my favorite things times 2, times 3, times 4. Actually, I'm not going to drink mine. I'm just going to chuck it into here and have some cereal.
I was going to say, South Africa, look what I'm about to do. I'm literally just going to do this. A little bit of everything, you know, and I don't want to miss a drop. So I'm the type to do that. It might sound petty, but you know, every single drop counts. Thank you so much, Tumi. This looks absolutely delicious.
And you can
I'm
eat
looking
it any
forward
time
to
of the day.
Okay, stunning. Okay, whilst I dig into this, we do have some news, South Africa. Now, we have just been informed that due to one of the team members of the New Norm testing positive for COVID-19, there'll be no broadcast of the show. As recommended by the government, testing and quarantine has now followed the entire crew. SABC takes the threat of COVID-19 seriously, so we urge everyone out there to stay safe. Oh, such a touching story, but I definitely appreciate the fact that they are taking heed of this incredible threat and they're acting on it. So join us again tomorrow as we usher in Father's Day weekend. Until then, Mzansi, cheers, girlfriend.
Cheers.
Good night and happy eating. Oh, I'm so excited to dig into this, girl. Ngiyabonga.
It's delicious.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Nada.